Go for it.
Hi, George and Hope Perry. Our first day working on the field here, or meeting the church, it was a real blessing. The church obviously is devoted to hard work, prayer. They're very much a unified body working toward the future. They've got a building that, when you think of the fact that it's just standing in the middle of small plots of land that people farm by hand with hoes and hand tools, and grow mingled crops that they live on, and then sell some little excess for their cash. To see the building itself, you realize what an achievement that it is. They have no facilities. Their electric comes from a solar panel and a battery that feeds their sound system, and it's not a problem to them. They've prospered, and it was a real honor to get to meet them and enjoy them. Their service is, of course, distinctive to ours in a number of ways. Some of them are just the more African kind of thing that I expect from the past, and some of it was kind of an agricultural element almost that was new to me, but it was a real blessing. We were very welcome. We had a terrific meal with them. Had a prayer walk around the neighborhood with a young man and the pastor, and I mean, it was fascinating to see the area. And I think it's going to be a real blessing to work with these folks this week. They seem very dedicated.
Amen. And I guess you preached today since you were the foreigner?
I did.
Yeah, tell us about that. What was that like?
I felt myself uncertain. Well, it does kind of interrupt your flow too, to have to stop for an interpreter. You just stop after every sentence. I mean, I found myself thinking a lot about are they familiar with this idea? Is this a concept that's going to be okay or not? I mean, I just don't know what their understanding of a lot of just ideas that I would use would be. So I wound up kind of staying away from some things. I still don't know if it was wise or not. I mean, in some ways, they're just as sophisticated as anyone. But
what was your topic? What'd you choose?
Actually, it was the verse that was in our devotions, was the one I'd written a message on.
Neat. What was that verse so they know?
Romans the 7th, or Revelation the 7th, 9 and 10. What the great multitude out of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues stands before the throne. And I just thought about that, that whole element, that the unity of the kingdom. And I spent a while going back to Genesis 1:1. God's creation. The creation has a purpose. The Creator has an authority. Some of those themes, and then got back to the whole gathering theme again. Our God is a gatherer. At the end of the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, they gather. He says, "Gather up the fragments that remain." They take up 12 baskets. At the feeding of the 4,000, gather. The same thing. They take up 7 baskets. Well, he doesn't need to do that. He can speak the food into existence. Why is he having people gather up those fragments? There's a lesson there.
Neat.
And so we talked about that. We introduced that whole theme of the 4 fields, the empty field. I mean, there's cornfields and potato. Right next to the church is a potato patch and bananas interplanted with them. You could,
It's kind of crazy they do all that by hand. Isn't that fascinating to see all that work and go, that's all done by hand? This is crazy.
It's an amazing amount of work. I mean, why are these people poor? Well, because everything they do comes from their physical effort.
Hope, what stood out to you today? What was one thing?
I love the worship. I love meeting the people. They were very welcoming and friendly. I think I love the kids most of all.
Oh, There's a lot of. Were there a lot of them?
Yes, there were a lot of them, and they were all gathered around me. And one of the ladies said, "Okay, that's enough. It's too much."
You were funny.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well,
I did that prayer walk, and I think if I had a burden for these people, it would be for the men.
In what way? Yeah, tell me about that.
Because one of the ladies I talked to, she says it's very hard to get them in there, and even driving around the towns and coming in here, you see them sitting all over the place, and you kind of get a feeling that's not anything good going on. So
Right. Yeah. There is a hopelessness in this nation.
not only that, for them to leave their families and stuff. So.
Right. Well, it's a great prayer to be prayed. So, yeah, we'll make sure we mention that on our text stream. Well, thank you guys. All right.